The oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the daunting. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
Good morning and welcome to Open Conversation on Atlantic Television Network. Open Conversation is the network's flagship political platform through which trending political news, events and stories are discussed with stakeholders. Through these conversations, ATN uses political talks about specific issues, party system and actor to explore hope and engender positive impacts to the society. Today on Open Conversation, we'll look at these stories. First, Edo State. Labour Party national leadership sacks state executive. And on Kano Emirate Tussle, court bars Bayero. On elections, Attorney General of the Federation calls for scrapping of states' electoral councils. And on autonomy, Nigerian Governors Forum mum on federal government court case over local government. Do not go away. When I come back from this break, we'll delve right into the show.
Of this minister in the temple of God.
Give us access to our money we put in the bank. She said $3,000 is 1,000 to collect $3,000. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth. The oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the daunting. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Corruption not in my country.
Driver, why you just dey jack us up and down like this now?
I hope nobody carry belle.
Why you ask go?
Because this road where they see so, it no guarantee safe delivery.
We just dey vote for government, but we not get good governance.
At all.
Road so in no day. Light to Usa. The infrastructure uncle, we can't turn to be forbidden fruit for the city.
Corruption, well everything. Hello?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mrs. Ayeni. I am calling from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
Okay. I've been expecting your call.
Madam, remove this your phone from loudspeaker.
No verse. Now my phone be like that. Hello?
Are you there?
I hear, I'm hearing you.
Yes. We saw a copy of your invoice for computers, printers, and laptops.
Yes. Are you working on...
representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the Temple of Justice.
Give us access to our money we put in the bank. POS operator, she said 3,000 naira is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Joining me on Open Conversation this morning is Zoe Solomon Tamunotoye, lecturer and development expert, and he's also the national president, Rivers Emancipation Movement. Welcome to Open Conversation, Mr. Zoe.
Thank you and good morning, Rivers people.
And I also have with me Honorable Don Obaraji, ESQ, legal advisor to Chairman of Council, LMA Local Government. He's also a member, Nigerian Human Rights Commission. Good morning, Barrister Don.
My pleasure, good morning.
All right. And on to the story. The crisis rocking the Edo State chapter of the Labour Party ahead of the September 21, 2024 governorship election remains unabated as the Julius Abure-led national leadership of the party sacked the state executives led by Kelly Obaloy. Correspondent reports that the national leadership then appointed Elizabeth Ativier, the former Speaker of the Edo State House of Assembly, as the head of a 17-man caretaker committee. The Deputy National Chairman of the party, Dr. Ayo Olorufemi, inaugurated the committee on Monday in a hotel in Benin City. Let me start with you, Honorable Don. What is your take on the crisis that has rocked Labour Party and appears to escalate every passing day?
Anyways, you see, I know that ever since the Labour Party lost election, there have been several reasons. Labour Party sympathizers have attributed to the failure of the election, and that have caused a very serious crack within the party structures and system. Why some believe that the presidential candidate of the party was not, listening to their own side of the tactics that would have been used to win this election. The other faction, which is the Abure's faction, believed that since they were the ones that were in charge, more especially because they have been in the party over time before the presidential candidate came in, that they were the right persons to issue whatever tactics that the party will use to rise to victory. So this has continued. If you watch, there was this other guy, this Yoruba guy, I've forgotten his name now, Apata, who took the matter with a very blunt and said, see, we have been in Labour Party and these people are new people. Obi is just coming to this party. We have known what the matter here is. Therefore, we are the right persons to, steer the ship of the leadership of the party. That have caused a lot of crisis. But I know that the fallout of that election has become one of the most remote and immediate, both remote and immediate causes of where this faction is. Now, Ativier's emergence as the new caretaker chairman of the party is on the grounds that the tenure of the state executive.
What happened was the state executive, suspended Abure. Yeah. And then in response, the national now sacked them. The question would be, do they even have the rights, the state schools, do they have the right to take such actions against the national chairman?
Of course, in fact, that's a more specific pointer. In labor, in party matters, the word party structure is most important as it has to do with the party, because legally a member belongs, every national executive or everybody that is a member of a party must have a ward and registration.
Sorry, the Abuja was actually suspended by the ward, not the state. Yes.
So the ward where you register, these are the people that have your primary custodianship. So anything that has to do with expelling a candidate or even suspending a candidate must be done from the ward. However, when this is done and it is not done in the right direction, or necessary steps are not taken, for instance, the law expects that where everybody is accused of any action, even while you send to suspend, you must give the person fair hearing. Fair hearing has to writing to the person on the allegations that the party have felt,
Have the wards been doing that?
Well, it is usually not in seldom practice, but that is what the law expects every person who feels that somebody else have committed an act to do. So just to give the person fair hearing.
Okay. All right. Now, Mrs. Owi, there have been, during the 2023 presidential elections, there were expectations, even after the elections, that Labour Party will become the third force, in Nigerian political firmament. Going by the struggles at the national level and at the different states, that have off-season, off-cycle elections coming up, would you say so far that Labour Party have been able to manage their crisis well? And the second question, what are the stakeholders doing exactly?
Okay, thank you very much for having me this morning. I'll take it off from where my colleague have just analyzed. And I will add that the major problem with this party is not just Labour Party, but let's focus on Labour Party. The problem here is the problem of the individuals, the personalities within this party not able to practice internal democracy and the rule of law. That is the fundamental. These people do not want to engage in the rule of law. The rule of law now refers to their constitution. Parties have constitution. They refuse to follow the rules of the game in their own parties. That is the major problem with these people. Rather than following the rules and practicing internal democracy, they want to impose their interests, opinions and beliefs on the party structure. That is where clash of interests comes in, and that is what gave rise to factions in party. If not, ordinarily, party members, there are supposed to be no factions in parties, because all of them came to that party looking at the agenda and ideology of the party. They agreed to it. That's why they subscribed to that party. Now, having subscribed to that party, there are rules they are supposed to follow. So these are the basic problem. Number one, they don't want to practice the rule of law. Number two, they don't have ideologies that is guiding them, guiding their aspirations, their behavior, their interests and opinion. And then number three, these two things give room to the lack of internal democracy. Okay. Now, having said that, particularly the Labour Party, I don't see, you mentioned the Labour Party as a third force before, during and after the election. I don't see the Labour Party as a third force. They don't have that capacity. They don't show semblance of something that would appear to be a third force. Rather, Labour Party, suddenly, some people who were, will I say, disenfranchised or were not given their desired opportunities in other parties, just came together and they saw a Labour Party like a widow, a woman whose husband is late, and she's just there. So they married her. That is what happened to Labour Party. So in that kind of relationship, what do you expect? Because these people just move in there and impose their intention, especially the presidential candidate. I'm sorry to say this may not be a popular opinion, but a critical look at the Nigerian politics, there is no difference among them all the presidential candidates in the last election, and P2B moving to that party. When he got to that party, he's supposed to find out what is on ground. What are the aspirations of this party? Which person did they actually have in mind to flag their, to be the flag bearer of their party? They didn't take all these things into consideration. Even those in the party themselves, because they saw P2B as a big fish, one who has the capacity and have the popular support, because P2B was already having a mass support outside political party. What they call the obedient movement, before he even went to the Labour Party. So this Labour Party thinks is an opportunity where they can rub muscle with the ruling party, the APC, and the opposition party, PDP. So they married P2B, and only an unholy marriage, so to say. So these are the areas where these crises are coming up. And I can tell that the leaders of the party, from the presidential candidate to the various factions and stakeholders of the party, they have not been able to manage the crisis that will make the party look like a third force. And that is why I say there is no difference between Labour Party, PDP, and APC. They are all the same.
All right. The Kano High Court has ordered the deposed Emir of Kano, Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayero, to stop parading himself as Emir. The court also directed the police commissioner to evict him from the mini palace on State Road. The court, presided over by Justice Amina Adamu Aliyu, gave the order on Monday. Similarly, the order restrained Alhaji Nasiru Ado Bayero, Ibrahim Abubakar II, Alhaji Kabiru Muhammad Inuwa, and Alhaji Aliyu Ibrahim Gaya for parading themselves as emirs of Bichi, Gaya, Rano, and Karaye. Let me start with you, Honorable Don. What is your take on the power tussle going on in Kano State between the former governor and the 15th Emir of Kano, Ado Bayero, and the reinstated Emir, Sanusi Lamido?
Well, I'm still here to do a very strong investigation, because most times what I do is to look at the processes, okay, that have been filed in court, and the reasons where they have arrived at the decision the court has given. But to my knowledge, the now reinstated Emir, that's the person of Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, I know that he was challenging his removal in court, and by the grace of God, I think that was Kano High Court, and by the grace of God, the court gave him judgment and ordered in their...
the State House of Assembly actually repealed a law, repealed the law balkanizing the emirship of Kano State, and by repealing that law, these other emirs were fired by the governor, and Sanusi Lamido reinstated. So it was an act of the State House of Assembly, a law that was repealed.
But I also know that Sanusi did not also sit down. Sanusi went to court to challenge his removal. And when this governor came in, I also was hinted by somebody from Kano that the current governor of the NMPP, already saw the actions of the former governor as mad with bad faith. Hence, they also heard that they were, they had requested the assembly to, amend the laws that has to do with traditional institution and all that. But I couldn't follow up too much on that. But I know that what the governor is acting on now is a legitimate order. The governor didn't just rise to reinstate Sanusi.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. What is your take, Zoe?
Yeah, I think the Kano situation, in this case, the emirship of Kano, should be handled with caution, because it's going into a political interest now.
Is it not already political?
It's political, and that we should be careful. These are the issues. Now, and it's a flex of power, you know, between someone in the federal and someone at the state, just like what is happening in River State. But in this case, is the emirship we are talking about in Kano. My colleague here who have said that the governor is on course, is in the right direction, because it has to do with the laws of the state. And hence, he has gotten a legislation from the House of Assembly. He should act. Of course, we all know the manner, although we are outsiders, but the manner and approach with which Sanusi was deposed, you know, in that particular position raised a lot of questions. So if the current governor comes and see that some things were done wrong, and the House of Assembly also collaborated that with a legislation, you know, the Emir of Kano is something that has a lot of respect from the citizens, you know. So for someone to just wake up one morning and balkanize the emirship, democratizing it, making it so many seats now available, you know, those are problems, those are actions that can cause crisis in a state. So for now, I think the federal government should tread with caution in Kano State with regards to the reinstatement of Emir. Just like what the Emir, the Sanusi did when he was deposed. He went to court. They too can go to court and challenge, you know, his reinstatement, but not to take laws into their hand. For the deposed Emir to, you know, come back to Kano and then going to take his place, all those things will lead to crisis. So I think the federal government and the state government ought to tread with caution as far as this Kano emirship is concerned.
All right. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, has called for the scrapping of State Independent Electoral Commission. Fagbemi made the call on Monday at the National Discourse on Nigeria's Security Challenges and Good Governance at the local government level held in Abuja. According to him, in spite of the constitutional provisions that were meant to safeguard local government's autonomy, there have been cases of arbitrary dissolution, abolition, and fragmentation of local governments by the higher tiers of government, particularly the state governments. Let me start with you, Mr. Zoe. What is your take on this?
Well, the question is, when people come up with such a position, what is the intention? I always consider the intention before the actions. Now, it's in a country like Nigeria, where the rule of law is problematic, is something difficult for individuals and institutions to practice. If not, there's nothing wrong, you know, in a democracy, in a federal state, I mean, in a federating unit, I mean, a federal system that we practice in Nigeria. There's nothing wrong in having states electoral body, okay? It does a lot of things. First, it goes to reduce the burden of responsibility on the national electoral body. Secondly, these state electoral bodies are constituted within the state. So they know the terrain and the aspirations, the problems of electoral process in that state. So they have better knowledge to manage the electoral process than people that will, somebody that will come from Kano to come and manage the election in Bayelsa State. You understand? So these are the good intention for, you know, arranging the constitution in such a way that there are local electoral bodies. However, these intentions has been abused by local electoral bodies. For instance, the state electoral bodies, they are appointed by the governor. And you know the common saying that he who blows, he who dictates the tune. So governors of this state have abused this process of state electoral bodies in the sense that they appoint the chairman and the commission, the individuals to head that commission, and so they dictate to them. You see the elections state electoral bodies conduct. You see that the party in government, the governor's party, win, particularly in River State. How can you say in a state like River State that there is high level of political interest, you know, political parties, and in such a state, the whole local government election, the 23 local government election, one party will win them, and that's the party in government. How can the electoral chairman give credit to such an election. So these are the problem. So it's not just enough that we scrap the state electoral body. The state electoral body is needed. It is good for us to have electoral body at the state level to manage election, because people from that area are going to be appointed who have understanding of the electoral process in that area. But we should also strengthen the law, and not just strengthen the law. It has to do with the individuals. Not necessarily the laws are okay, the institutions are okay, but the individuals are appointed to carry out these responsibilities. Are they ready to do the right thing? Are they ready to follow the laws and the procedures set out to conduct election? That is where the problem lies, not necessarily the institutions. So scrapping them or not will not make a difference. It has to do with the individual. Even if they scrap it and bring INEC, the national body, to come and conduct election, as INEC at the national level conduct a better election? No. So these are the challenges.
So you're of the opinion that states INEC should be allowed to remain?
Of course they should be remain, but they should appoint people with integrity, people that will do the right thing, conduct free and fair election, and allow the people's votes to reflect the outcomes of election. That is what is important, not necessarily scrapping institutions.
All right. Honorable Don, what is your take?
Anyways, the Attorney General is my very respected and senior colleague. And I also want to join my voice to the position of the Attorney General.
Okay.
That the State Electoral Commission should be scrapped. One, they are conduit pipes, that dissipates our common everyday taxpayers' money. Two, they don't do the bidding of the masses. They're always doing the bidding of their paymasters, which is invariably the governor of the state. And then at this time when Nigerians are saying, let our vote count, let our voices be heard, you vote and then you still get the same result that people were trying to avoid. Now, the state electoral commissions, when you appoint somebody, both even naturally and statutorily, you have certain control over that person. And even those that are appointed as the chairman of these electoral bodies know that they are duty bound to carry out the desires, okay? They are duty bound to carry out the desires of their masters. You understand? They are duty bound. They already know. Once I appoint you, you should even know that actually these are what Oga will really like and what Oga will not like. We should tell ourselves the truth. Now, because the State Electoral Commission, doesn't really have any economic or electoral value that they create in terms of bringing people to power, then they should not be there. At this point, we are talking about how to reduce spending in governance. I tell you, the National Electoral Commission can conduct election for local government peacefully. And, the reason behind the Attorney General coming up with this kind of, decision or submission, so to speak, is because the governors of these states have used or are benefiting from the malicious actions they carry out, using the vehicle of the State Electoral Commission. So, if the National Electoral Commission, which the Constitution has given power to conduct election, they have not said they can't conduct election. They can conduct election from the national to the local government, and it's also going to give some certain level of autonomy. Because if you know that our elections are conducted by one person, it is difficult for the governor to influence the national electoral body, at least at that level, because of the interest, that surrounds them. It is very difficult. You cannot go and say, INEC in local government, Kana, I want this person to come and win that. It will have a counter effect. So one, the Attorney General is looking at the fact that the governors of this state are using that body, you know, as a way to control the local government, because it is the names they give them that wins the election. Number two, they have also seen that it is a way of wasting government funds, you know, because imagine the money they vote into State Electoral Commission, and at the end of the day, it is what the governors want and not what the people want. And of course, government at the national level, and by our constitution in section 14, is saying the welfare of the people and security is the most essential thing, and this is part of it. You know, when we talk about welfare and security, people think that is government providing police, the army, and all that hold on to protect. No. We are talking about securing your fundamental right, defending your fundamental right, and also giving you hope. Hope is part of the welfare of what the government needs to, you know, always try to see how to let the citizens know that if we can't control this today, tomorrow we are getting there. And that's why there is always this short, medium, and long-term expectations. So the Attorney General has not done anything wrong. In fact, he has taken the right steps. As an attorney, I know that by virtue of section 174, where the powers of the Attorney General is embedded, there are mostly three powers the Attorney General should exercise in terms of, you know, prosecution and defense of matters, criminal and civil. But in the civil aspect of it, and also laying credence to section 14, you know, that has to do with the welfare and security of the people, the Attorney General, being a part of the government of the Federation, you know, is empowered to also, you know, it's like an advice now, you know, which they intend to also take to the National Assembly to scrap that State Electoral Commission, so it can reflect in the current constitutional amendment. And that is the step in the right direction.
I think I totally disagree with my learned friend here.
All right.
Because for you, you know, they say those who go to equity must go with clean hands. The Federal Electoral Body have not shown any example in their own jurisdiction in terms of conducting national election, to the extent that we can have trusts in the National Electoral Body to now say, the INEC at the national is doing well, so give them also the responsibility of conducting state election. So it is totally out of place. I think the Attorney General is there. See, when sometimes they come up with these things, they package it to look as if it's for the interests of the people. Sometimes it's just political. What basis, when you say the Attorney General, all these things you have lined out, what is the confidence? Because we are talking about public trust and confidence in an institution, you know, to conduct something as important as an election in bringing public office holders into governmental position. So what is the criteria? What is on ground for you to show that we can have trust in INEC, the National Electoral Body, that they will conduct election at the state and local government level and give us free and fair elections? Because it's the same local government, ward, units, and states, they have conducted the national elections that we are where we are today. So that cannot be justified. Looking at the INEC itself, we can't justify the position that INEC should not take over state electoral processes. Rather, I would suggest what needs to be done to strengthen the institution. These powers of appointing the state electoral body can be taken from the governors. And again, the financing the state electoral body can also be taken from the governors. That can be handled at the national level. They can they come up with a law that the national body, the federal government should finance the state electoral bodies directly. The National Assembly can appoint the state electoral commissioners and the officials. But to say that we should scrap the state electoral body and bring INEC cannot do better. They've not shown a better example to give us the confidence and have trust in them that they can conduct a better election at the local and state level elections.
Let me just respond. Well, it's very unfortunate. The statements that our guests here have also, I think that's a legal somersault, because I I've
Why
seen
do you
that.
say it's a
Yes,
legal sum
because
assault?
he was appropriating and reprobating at the same time. If you say that the the federal government or the National Assembly or the federal government in that line should appoint and then possibly finance, trying to take the powers from that of the governor, you're also agreeing to the fact that they should also be in control. Because if you finance and appoint, you're indirectly in control. Now, I'm coming, sir. Now, the intent, when a law is promulgated, I'll tell you now, or enacted in our civil days now is enaction, not promulgation. The intention behind the enactment of that law is mostly what the court will look at. If I say that by 10 p.m., nobody should throw dustbin here, and if they catch you by 10 p.m., you should be prosecuted. What it means is that we are not only going to stop people from throwing dustbin, the law is also looking at stopping people from committing other atrocities within that period. So it's also in the what we call the golden rule. It's also giving the society the opportunity to be at peace, at least between those hours of the day. It's not just not throwing dirty. So there is intention. When there are enactment of laws, there are intention behind. What is the intention of the Attorney General trying to call for scrapping of this? One, the local government, the state government is totally, they are hijacking the powers of the local government. They are not giving them the authority or the opportunity to be autonomous. By this constitution, if you look at the way this constitution is created, especially in section 7, this constitution recognizes the local government, trying to tell you that they know that they are important at the grassroots, and they should be given that opportunity. Look at everywhere today. The government in power creates the local government, that serve in different, so as to make sure that there is total loyalty. And this has caused a lot of reason why there are retardation of development, because, and I can tell you this, we are Nigerians. I'm not here to, sleep over somewhere. Some state government will say, okay, if I make you local government chairman, this is your price for loyalty. And the moment you fail to pay, it's like tithe. When you fail to pay them, then they stir up the House of Assembly, the Assembly to suspend or impeach you. But if these particular actions, more especially even with the suit that is the Attorney General is preparing, I think by tomorrow or next, that matter will be going to the Supreme Court, making sure that the constituent provisions of this constitution is obeyed. State government should not be given that opportunity or liability to control the federal government, the local government, including their finances. And how do they do this? It's through this kind of procedure. So we are looking at obeying. We are looking at trying to make sure that the content of this constitution is obeyed ipso facto, to the latter.
Yes, sir. I also add, yes, I agree to some extent. I think we are saying the same thing with different perspective, in the sense that, look, not just the intention, but okay, like you said, the outcome of the intention is also important in this case. Now, we are talking about procedures here. Just scrapping INEC, my concern is in the area of scrapping states' electoral bodies and bringing INEC. Can INEC do a better job from what they are doing in their own jurisdiction?
Now,
it doesn't make
any
difference.
Between the state's INEC and INEC itself, which of these institutions, between the two, can the governor influence easily?
Of course, it's the state where he appoints.
So why allow the states to be?
No, it's the same. It's the same thing. It's the same thing that is happening at the national. He knows as a lawyer. He's the same thing that is happening as a national.
So scrapping, it would be easier to influence state INEC.
Yes, because the state governors appoint the state's electoral body, so they can influence, and that's why I'm suggesting that the powers
state to this scenario.
Very well.
Now, it has been a burning issue that the governor of Rivers State have, for now have not secured any intention to conduct local government elections. for his own personal reasons, which I know is political, we will not be talking about extension of the tenure of the local government if the governor have decided to do what is right. I have mentioned on this show before that as at today, the law recognizes the doctrine of necessity so as to make sure that there is peace in our society, which is the primary aim and purpose of government. Because the governor has failed to do this, then so that we don't have anarchy, because the law says another government will come in by election. It's not by appointment. I don't know whether you understand. It's not by appointment. The caretakership in local government is not known to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. As much as I can tell you for free, it is the orientation of the sitting governor. So now, this kind of scenario is what the Attorney General is advocating that it be stopped, because at the national level there must be a program of election which is sacrosanct. No governor can influence that one, because as they prepare for the national election, they know that as the president is going, the governor is going, the local government are also going. I'm coming. So they know that they are going. There will not be all these issues we are talking about today. It's as a result of the power the governor feel they can exercise over the local government. Right. But it's so unfortunate. So the reason why, of course, they should have said, okay, why is this thing coming now? It's coming now because the issue has become very focal. The matter is glaring its head every day. And if the government of the federation does not do anything about it, there will be crisis. And that is not what the law wants. What the law wants is utmost peace. And whatever will make us arrive at that peace, then the government is in the right direction to take that step for purpose of necessity and law.
See, it's a complex issue. Finally, we are coming to talk about the individuals. This issue of governors having these powers, yes, if the individuals exercising in these positions of authority, exercising their right, doing what they are supposed to do, regardless of their personal interest, we won't get to this point where we'll be talking about scrap this or scrap that.
Of course.
So we're talking about strong individuals against weak institutions. So how do we strengthen the institution? My own take is not just to scrap, but look at other ways with which we can strengthen these institutions without scrapping them, because in a federal system, it is important, because look at the longer implication. When you are trying to scrap state institution, in a federating system, the next time you will come to another thing, you will say, oh, what do you call it now? Primary or secondary health center, health system is not functioning. Scrap it. Before you know it, everything will now be federal issue. That is what we should also look at to avoid. So the essence of this is we should rather talk about strong institutions, strengthen institutions where when individuals come, they will follow the rules. And when they follow the rules, we will not have this personal interest where people will now make laws to institute. I agree with you, caretaker committee is an aberration to the Constitution. But this is where we find ourselves because of the personalities that are running these institutions.
There are issues.
If we don't scrap,
you still say that. But let's just look at three main perspectives you brought here. The first one is the issue of timely elections of local government, conducting
without influence
elections in local government on time without the influence
of the appointer,
yes. The sitting governor.
Yes.
And secondly, you're looking at the total independence of the state INEC. Now, let's look at Oyo State, for example. Recently, they had their council elections, and you know there were calls. The OISEC, Oyo State Electoral Commission, they were being called out. I think the matter at some point, it almost degenerated into a crisis. Seyi Makinde was accused of influencing the OISEC because all local government, I think about 23 local governments in Oyo State,
The party won
party
them.
Party won all of
the
them.
seats.
Can you imagine?
He won all of the seats in spite of opposition. And these are real issues. They are real issues affecting the polity in the state. So now you are talking of scrapping the state INEC. And he is talking of leaving the state INEC, but strengthening it against
Influence of the... Yes,
now, the thing
governor.
is, the governor has immunity. And as long as he's seated, cannot be held accountable for the things he does, even if he's breaking the law.
I'll come to
So how do you marry that? How do you strengthen an institution against a man that the law has given powers?
See, they would have also asked why the Attorney General is taking all the state governors to court. Yes, the reason behind Section 308, shielding temporarily the governor from litigation. That's for purpose of litigation. Not allowing the governor to appear before court, answer questions, because of public duty calls. Maybe then he should have been in the office addressing people and all that. But the Attorney General of the state will stand on behalf of the government. If you go to where they file these processes, most times you will see the name of the governor of the state. But the Attorney General will stand in for the governor of the state. That does not mean that the governor is shielded from the act or from litigation. The Attorney General would either defend. It's either you win or you defend the actions of the governor, or if an action or a judgment is given, the governor will also eventually obey it, because there is a lawman who is standing in for the governor. It's not that he shields the governor from legal liability. Now, what this will mean, see, we are, as of today, lawmaking is like when we say in court that cost follows event. Is that before a law is made, watch, there must have been very serious
precedent.
Not just precedent, there must have been actions that have necessitated that law to be made.
Okay.
People rape these days, they rape, and then people now say, okay, now raping has not become an issue the society does not want. The lawmakers bring it to fore and then legislate on it and then make it a law. That is why the federal government have looked at all the indices of the state government as it has to do with the development of the locals. And of course, government is like this. It's not like this. Government is like this. Everything goes to the federal government. And the federal government have run an indices and say, see, why we are not getting where we are is because the local government are not even being carried along. They are not doing what they are supposed to do. Right. So if they are supposed to do what they are supposed to do, I'm sure that the blames that we have will not, will not get to this level. Therefore, there is every need, and I want to report my position, that the State Electoral Commission, should be scrapped because one, it is a source of wasting of public funds. Two, it gives the governor the opportunity to meddle with the constitutional role of the local government. And three, it does not give independence. The State Electoral Commission does not give the local government.
All right.
And four, finally, I want to add that it doesn't also throw in the right persons for the job.
Okay.
I want to still hold my position that scrapping the state electoral body is not the answer, because the federal electoral body you want to bring in have not shown any good example. Right. So rather we should talk about strengthening the institution against individual strong
what the
men
law
in our
recognizes
society.
is substantial compliance and not total compliance.
Okay. All right. Moving forward, the Secretariat of the Nigeria's Governors Forum has declined comment on the present issue, where the federal government has dragged the governors of the 36 states of the Federation to the Supreme Court over alleged misconduct in the administration of local government areas. When contacted to speak on the matter, the Director General of Nigerian Governors Forum, Dr. Abdulateef Shitu, who noted that the Secretariat read the report, said that since the issue was already in court, the Supreme Court in particular, it would amount to sub judice to speak on it. Now, they have refused to say anything. But let me start with you, Don. What do you have?
He's done.
Sorry,
Zoe.
Mr. Zoe, yes. What do you have to say about these developments?
Well, there's not much to say. Of course, they have said because the matter is before the courts, they will not have much to say. So I don't think even we here should have much to say.
But the call isn't it long overdue? Aside the court matter going on, the abuse of power by the state government
is there.
Over local government
Is there.
Can you take it away?
No, you can't take it away, and that is why they can't. It's even partly why they can't say something. They can't defend it. The NJF can't defend this accusation. That is one thing. Let's see how it goes out in court. Of course, if they can't speak in the public, they will speak in court. They can't defend it. It's glaring. It's on. Okay, our lawyer here will tell us better, but I think it's something you cannot run away from.
He might not necessarily comment on the courts, the matter in court, but I want to look at an angle of this conversation, and that is withholding of local government funds by state governors. You would recall that recently there have been calls from different local governments, council chairmen in Rivers State particularly, and they have accused the governor of withholding the funds of local government. Isn't this part of the reason why this issue actually should be taken up and discussed, and probably the court should look into this and grant local governments autonomy that they urgently need?
We are yet to come to that. You see, one good thing this government have done, the federal government, and I give kudos to this, is appointing the Attorney General. I know him as a man of good conscience. He's a man, that has the burning desire for the protection of human rights, fundamental human rights, and justice. Well, within the time he came in, I have not seen too much political deviations that he has made. Fagbemi also bear the kind of mind we have, that the society should follow law. The rule of law should prevail. The man have looked at the entire process and have discovered that over time, the problem we have is the state governors controlling the local governments. In Rivers State, we always use Rivers State as a case study. Those that are simplified, which I don't know whether it's a political party or not, have been clamoring. When the FCT minister was here, well, we are talking about the same thing. Now the federal government sees that the way out of this imbroglio, of this pandemic, political pandemic that we are having, is to cut the hands of the state government from the administration of the local government. Even more competitive. You understand? Now, I may be more qualified than somebody who wants to become chairman of local government in terms of my integrity or whatever I have achieved as a person. But if I am not in the good books of the state governor, no matter how you good, no matter how beautiful you are, you cannot make it. So now you are talking about withholding of funds. Section 162, subsection 1 down to section 5 is against the governor of any state of this federation to withhold local government funds. And of course, you would have seen a slight of this in the case of AG Federation against AG Lagos State in 2002, where Tinubu went to court to say, see, because we felt that the state was becoming too populated, and then we created some LCDs, like about 8 LCDs, so that to manage the administration of some persons in different areas of Lagos State. The federal government said, Obasanjo said, we're not going to pay you because we cannot cater for the entire wage bill that is coming from the state as at that time. And the man said, we are not saying pay. Just allow us, give us our resources, we'll manage it with our local IGR.
When they went to court, the Supreme Court frowned at any tier of government, holding the funds that belong to another tier of government. This constitution does not permit so. The only way to give independence and financial autonomy to this government is by, part of it is election. The National Electoral Body conducting the election of the state, and also the Minister of Justice. The finance minister. Because what will happen now,
indirectly to the local government.
Directly, what will happen now is that if the case that has already gone to that is going to go to court, okay, anytime, I think before the week is over, I think the Supreme Court will be seized of this matter. When this matter is eventually heard and determined, and I am of the very firm belief that the Supreme Court will grant, because it's by originating someone, it doesn't give the parties too much opportunity to argue. It's based on law. You know, the Supreme Court to interpret the essence, the intent of the provisions of Section 162 and Section 7 of this Constitution. Whether the federal government, the state government have that autonomy or power to control the local government. If the Supreme Court, in their wisdom, very wise wisdom, legal wise wisdom, sees that it has caused a lot of, failure of governance at that level, the Supreme Court, I am sure that the Supreme Court will grant that the prayers of the Attorney General, and then once that is done, it is to take the order of the court, serve it on the Ministry of Finance, so that the needful can be done every month, so that a different splinter group coming up with different ideologies.
You're right.
See, what's the point there is, now look, if he's citing the various, he cited section 162. He didn't talk about section 7. Now, if you look at the various sections of the Constitution that dealt with local governments, there are a lot of confusion there. Now, the framers of the framers of the Constitution did not intend this confusion. What they had in mind is check and balances, okay, so that the federal government, as much powers we are giving to the the state government to supervise, to oversee the activities of the local government, it also keep a watching eye by the federal government on the state government. But at the end of the day, we go back to the operational personalities of these laws. That is
what does section 7 say?
It talks about the local government being established, having its power. But then it went at some point, it talks about the state government, the State House of Assembly being in charge. Then when you go to section the 162, it talks about
in charge of the local government.
Yes, there are. Yes, if you can cite it so that we get it clear. It talks about different people: the federal government, the state government, the State House of Assembly, all of them having
in charge of the local government, or the local government chairman in charge of the local government. Are you talking about the State House also done a lot to that effect, to the effect of having local governments have their autonomy? But then it has to be ratified by the State House of Assembly.
That's a clause I'm talking about. Now,
the first time it was done, they needed about
27
yes. And only 26 ratified it. It was just remaining one state. Do you understand? Yes. So it's not the first time, and that actually is the second attempt. It's not the first time that this should be the third attempt this time around. And it has not been successful because the state governors have wielded their influence over the State House of Assembly to do their bidding. This is why it appears that the National Assembly will do their part and they cannot get the ratification that is needed for this law to be passed. So you can go on.
Yes, I agree with you, and that's the point I wanted to raise. So with that clause now, it will be a difficult thing for the federal government, and probably that's why they've gone to court. But the question now, is it a matter for the court to interpret? Because the law is clear there. If we borrow the word self-executing, that clause of ratification is there. Okay? But now the point I am emphasizing is not the laws as they are being made. in terms of supervision of the local government, in terms of the problem is the people. Our people have not imbibed democratic governance to the extent that they follow the rule of law. So even if we remove local government today from the hands of the state legislature and the governor, it is still human beings, Nigerians, that will man those local government. Won't the local government chairman behave like the way the governor is behaving in the state and the local government? Those are the questions we should ask, and those are the areas the federal government should be able to address. And that can be done by the federal government showing example in its own pattern of governance by following the rule of law. We can cite some instances here where the court will give orders. For instance, the release of somebody in court, the federal government will disobey that order. They will not go. So these are things. It all goes down to the human being, Nigerians. So the earlier we begin to change our mentality, the earlier we begin to change our culture of governance from personal interest to the rule of law. That is the first step forward with which we can get. If not, nothing is wrong with the constitution. There's nothing wrong if the federal government to some extent have some supervisory role over the state governors as they supervise the local government, so that there is a link. Do you understand?
If the federal decides to withhold funds of the states,
it's not good. Just as the state shouldn't withhold funds meant for the local government. Right. So those are the things that has to do with the personalities that are manning those offices. That's my position.
All right, Honorable Don, you wanted to say something quickly.
What is wrong is wrong. Okay.
Sorry, to add to it that the law cannot be enough until there are willing people to implement the law as it has been written.
You see, the issue is this. You know, sometimes as a lawyer, I can also add that the provisions of the law is also part of the challenge we have. Okay? Because if the governor does not know that he is in charge of the local government, the governor will also exercise those arbitrary powers.
That's true.
You know,
that's a very good one.
So now that we have discovered that the governor is exercising those powers, it is important that we cut and curtail those powers so that the governor will not exercise those arbitrary powers that have been giving rise to these challenges. That is the point.
All right. Now, on to opposition lawmakers, the G60. Opposition lawmakers in the House of Representatives, known as G60, have said that they uncovered a plot that the People's Democratic Party acting national chairman, Umar Damagun, and the National Working Committee have allegedly sold the party and secretly filed court papers to bring back sacked 27 lawmakers of Rivers State House of Assembly back to office to revive plan to allegedly remove Governor Simlaye Fubara. At a World Press Conference held in Abuja on Thursday, the lawmakers displayed evidence of the court affidavit filed by PDP using FCT Minister Yeson Wike's lawyer, Joshua Musa San, as a counsel. Speaking at the press conference, the spokesperson of the G60 lawmakers, Honorable Ikenga Uguchinya, described the court documents as shameful act of betrayal and evidence of a compromised National Working Committee that must be dissolved immediately. Let me start with you, Honorable Don. What is your take on this development and accusation by Uguchinya?
You see, it's so unfortunate because I know that this time people perceive a lot of things, and once they perceive, they come on air and then they begin to talk. There are also accusations and counter-accusations that whatever is referred to the G60, which I don't know the meaning, G60, we've also heard that they are also being influenced one way or the other. It's political. It's political. Let's tell ourselves the truth.
Okay.
If you go change,
if I get you, you're questioning who the G60 members are, and you're also questioning their intent and interest in Rivers State.
Where are they coming from?
Okay.
Where are they coming from? What is their interest? What is their interest? Now, the issue is this. If you say that they have perceived, it's a mere speculation. It's a mere speculation. I've always said it. This period, actors should be guided by the comments that they make. Omar Damagun, being the national chairman of the party, in fact, by law, the party is a legal personality and they have the right to sue and be sued. And I want to even mention something very clear here. You know, I was very reserved on these issues. You know, I didn't want to delve too much because even after knowing the intrigues, you know, that this matter is coming up with, I didn't want to delve into it because part of it was sub judice. I didn't. But, you know, in order to clear the air a bit, you see, we don't talk about the issue of defection, you know, that the 27 lawmakers, River State lawmakers, defected to another party. The question is, what are the conditions? Have they fulfilled those conditions for defection? Section 306 of this Constitution makes provision for what we call notice of resignation.
Okay.
Notice of resignation. That for any member or anybody to resign from any elected office or by appointment, it must be by notice of resignation, and it is a general umbrella provision. It is not for political parties, for House of Assembly members, for senators or whatever have you. Where these members, did they even tender any notice of resignation? Because this whole thing is coming from 27 lawmakers purportedly.
And of course, the words, when you read down the story, the words have come out to even say at some point that they've not received any resignation letter from the
party said we have not received.
So does that mean that even though these 27 lawmakers have acted and even said it, as long as there was no notice of resignation to their parties, whatever it is they've said is null and void?
It is not by saying, I want to marry, easy marriage. I will make steps to marry you. I will take list, I will begin to pay something. That's commitment to marriage. I want to marry.
But until
I have married.
You pay the dowry, the bride price, you've not married.
You have not.
Okay.
This gentleman, you see, I even consider, see, this is the highest power play I've ever seen in recent times. I'm telling you, because the conditions of the law have not been fulfilled. I'm sure the Supreme Court is in tandem with this provision. Notice of resignation. Accepting the notice of resignation by the party where you are coming out from. And then making the public to say, okay, these persons are no longer with us, and declaring those seats vacant.
So two things are at play now. First of all, the 27 lawmakers have not tendered any notice of resignation to the
the best of my knowledge, there's no formal resignation.
And again, they've not even been suspended by the award. So they remain members. Is that what you're saying?
Of course, there's no formal resignation.
So as it stands,
to the best of my knowledge,
as it stands,
if there's any, I want anybody to, you know, bring it forward.
So now, what you're saying, Honorable Don, is as it stands, the 27 lawmakers remain members of PDP.
They remain member of the party.
According to the law.
According to the law, and to even INEC some days back, I wrote back, I'm sure that they copied the governor of Rivers State.
Okay.
That you see, all the members that were elected on the platform of the party to the House, in our eyes, as members of the House.
Pending when
the court will. So what we practice is the pure law theory. I've always said it here openly, that the pure law theory, school jurists have said it is only what the court will act on. That is law.
All right. Mr. Zoe, what do you have to say?
See, well, in a very unfortunate situation, you know, you see, most time people now click to the law. People now marry to the law when it has to do with their interests. I want to ask my legal friend here a simple question.
All right.
If these 27 House of Assembly members have succeeded in their bigger goal to impeach the governor, if they have succeeded in impeaching the governor, will you be sitting here
and cite this section of the Constitution to tell Nigerians that by the actions these people carried out, they have not defected and they are still members of the PDP. I'm coming, that's one. Two, in a state like Rivers State, with what all this that is happening, you still hold it, in spite of the fact that these people have come even before the House. The leader of the House has at that material time read out their position, why they are defecting. Even they have carried out, see, it mustn't. Tell me, give me any example in recent time in our democracy where this particular section of the law that you are emphasizing, with all the cross-carpeting, whether at the National House of Assembly, the Senate, the House of Reps, especially during election, they have been cross-carpeting, people are moving from one part. Tell me which person has fulfilled this particular condition you're talking about. They have always done it in one word or the other by public expression. Before you know it, in the Senate House, somebody will stand up and say, I am moving from PDP to APC. I am moving from APC to PDP. And it has been carried. With all the actions, this House of Assembly member, my learned friend, see, it is very important. It is very important we educate, we give the right perception, perspective of issues to Nigerians, especially the uninformed, the ordinary Nigerians, so that they have appreciation of what is happening in our society. For us to stay here and look for one side of the Constitution to claim that in spite of all the actions of these 27 House of Assembly members, you still consider them as PDP member, and in the eyes of the law they have not defected. Tell me, answer that question. If they have succeeded in impeaching the governor, will you still hold the same position?
Two questions.
Yes. Let me answer you. You see, the problem is court of public analysis, court of law.
They are two different things.
And
the law is not emotional.
It's not emotional.
Right.
Okay. It's not. It's more. You know, there are elements of morality, equity, and justice. That's what make up law. What this other aspect of society is looking at is court of
public opinion.
Public opinion.
And their sentiments can play.
Yeah, of course.
Sentiments
they
and
don't like it.
can
This
play
person, what he has done is wrong. They don't like it. They are not subject to deeper analysis. And what the law will be doing? Law will go into deeper analysis. Now, if they have succeeded to impeach the government, of course, do you think the governor would not have challenged that impeachment? He would have done so. Do you understand? If they have succeeded, which in my own ordinary view, I am saying that I prefer that the peace in Rivers State should have continued to be. I am not in sympathy with the fact that, there is crisis in the state now. It doesn't help anybody. Even myself that is here, it doesn't help me. So I am saying that it would have been that there is peace in Rivers State. However, if the governor was impeached, or if the assembly members, were succeeded to have impeached the governor would not have sat down, because by this law, he has the right to also fight for his reinstatement. You understand? So, because the court will be looking at the processes. Right. Did he follow the processes? And it is this same constitution that some of us are saying, he's not giving one side the win and then the other side. It is this same constitution that would have still given the governor the opportunity to either win or lose the matter. So I feel that, one, here, the governor would have had the opportunity to fight for for reinstatement, challenge impeachment or whatever. And then the issue of reading the notices to the House. Like I told you, see, one thing the law does, for me, as I speak to you today, for me, I don't follow what the public will be saying. Those 27 lawmakers are still lawmakers in the eyes of the law, pending when the court will make a proper determination in that regard.
I agree with
now,
you.
You have said
I agree with you to that extent.
You have said that
very quickly,
they have read their positions. Is that the position of the law?
Is that the position of the law?
To the extent that the court should decide their fate, I agree with you. But remember, don't also forget, this same PDP have already filed earlier, declaring that these people are no longer members of the PDP. The same people have come, the same party has come again, that they are members of their party. Remember, the National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, they filed a case against these 27 hours of
They have not.
You are not aware of that?
No. Okay. That's misinformation.
The point is, they are just, let's take about, they
are just
playing
filed
politics. It's an internal politics. Of course, you know that. The ministers, you can see the hand of the minister in the party at every level. You can see it. They are playing politics. But I will just agree with him. Let the court decide. I will, of course, let the court decide. Until the court comes up, let the court decide. That is where I agree with my learned friend.
Choma, the issue is that I hope all of us know that all of you are in the same party, PDP.
I am not.
No, you are not.
That is the unfortunate. That is the unfortunate situation we found ourselves.
It is.
That is why our democracy has been mad.
The PDP recently, I think, is in suit number FACPHCS 190/2024. Now before a federal high court, the PDP is now filing a joinder. Okay, I think, sorry, yes, the PDP is now filing a joinder to that suit, because if you are not joined as a party in a matter, no matter how beautiful you say, I don't follow, you cannot fly. That it is now the PDP is filing a joint. The PDP will not have been appropriated at the same time. It is now that they are filing a joinder, to say that, see, we have not received any notification.
To conclude, what my learned friend said. What he just said, that all of us are in PDP. It goes to tell you what I say, that Nigerian democracy is functioned on the basis of strong men instead of strong institutions.
So according to you, Baisadon, to summarize this, the defected lawmakers did not tender any notice of notification. And as long as the Constitution provides that they must tender notice of resignation to the party, they are not defected. So as it stands, they are still PDP members.
I won't be surprised. Commissioners who resigned voluntarily came back to the executive. So I won't be surprised if the House of Assembly members comes back and eats their words.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hazoyi, for coming on Open Conversation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barrister Don, for coming on.
Please let the actors. What I want to say before we close is that let the actors. I want to beg the governor of the state, His Excellency to please, try to toe the line of peace, as well as the FCT minister.
As much as the other factions stop ambushing the governor. As far as the House of Assembly member stop ambushing the governor, there will be peace in Rivers.
YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Do not forget, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching. I am Ogu Laurentia Choma. Transition News comes up next. Do not go.
The oppressors and the oppressed.
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
You condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the Temple of Justice.
Give us access to our money we put in the bank. POS operator, she said 3,000 naira is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors